optimism, Bears are the most bet-on team to go over their win total, according to FoxSports.com.
Well done. Good synergy.
Now, they won 7 games last year with Justin Fields and Tyson Bagent. Ended the year 4-2. So do you think the hype around Chicago is too high or just right?
I don't know that it's high enough.
Oh?
I think that all of the points Brew likes to make about the Jets, winning 7 games with bad quarterback play, applies to the Bears, except they also added Rome Odunze. They also added, late in the season, you saw the addition of it, a young in his prime Montez Sweat. They also added a star quarterback who's 20 years younger than Aaron Rodgers, not coming off a torn Achilles. And so for all those reasons, you have real reason to believe not only can this team go over 9 or 8.5 wins, that this team should make the playoffs and could be a very dangerous playoff team.
What? Good. That was good.
We're not. What do you mean?
That was good. I thought you were going to,
Well, I'm surveying.
I thought he went a little too far and should make the playoffs.
Okay.
They got a chance to make the playoffs. They got a chance to make the playoffs. I think it's a little high. And you're right. I actually wrote that down. As I was looking through, why to believe in them, because they do have a lot going for them.
Jets
it was like they're like the Jets,
yeah,
right?
Except that,
but
with a real coaching staff and a quarterback that's...
Oh, really? That coaching staff is great?
I don't think it's a bad coaching staff. I don't
know what it is.
But,
we'll see. I mean, they haven't been great so far to me. But I think it's too much... Because I do think Caleb is going to have some rookie struggles. I think he's going to eventually be great, but I think he's going to have some rookie struggles. Because I just think most rookies do. I don't think C.J. Stroud is the norm. I mean, Trevor Lawrence has been the most, and I'm not even trying to, but the most hyped quarterback, in a decade, and he still, 3 years in, we're not sure if he's going to be great. He's good. We're not sure if he's going to be great. So I think that's more the norm than, CJ. But also the expectations. You're not the only one. You're one of the highest ones from the rooftop shouting about the Bears. But a lot of people are excited about them. So the expectations are high. They're not going to roll in there and people take them like, oh, they got a rookie quarterback. They're going to get people's best shot because a lot of people. And the division. Like, they got 2 very, very good teams in that division. They could easily finish.
I don't know that the Packers are a very, very good team.
I think they.
The Packers won 2 more games than the Bears last year.
We have more evidence that the Packers are very good than the Bears.
So
that's for darn sure.
I don't think, to be fair, I don't think we have evidence that either one of them are very good. I don't. I think
what the Packers did as the youngest team to make the playoffs in decades to the Cowboys at home.
The Packers were
in Dallas
were a good-ish team last year that had an absolutely triple plus playoff game. That they were.
They're young though, Nick, and they're going to get better.
Of course, but I think that's kind of how I feel about Chicago. They're young and they're going to get better. But I want go ahead, Wiles. I'm sorry. You were going to show something or do something. I saw you.
You got a graphic or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bears defense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. So maybe Caleb doesn't have to do it all. Last 8 games.
Once they got Sweat, that's the key.
Oh, we're putting all the stock in those last 8 games, but not Jordan Love's last 8.
No.
I'll take. When did they play the Chiefs?
The Packers played the Chiefs. We were in LA. It was second half of the year. It was when they started turning.
So they turned around.
Yeah,
but they're first in points allowed. Like, that's pretty good. So Caleb doesn't have to come in here like the world on fire.
They have
kind of take it easy
on paper.
And here's the other thing: the NFL gave them the reverse Caitlin Clark. They gave them the easy schedule to start, hard to end.
Third easiest overall, according to Warren Sharp.
And so if we can show that
if he struggles early, that's good.
Right, and by the time you play your first divisional game is week 11. But so you can. It's really odd to have all 6 of your divisional games to be in your final 8 games.
Early on.
But it is so you can kind of get your feet wet, get rolling. There'll be bear claws everywhere. People are going to love them on Hard Knocks. I mean, I think the Bears are going to be 6-3.
Welcome back to the show.
Okay, 6-3, I guess. Going up to the bye is what he was going to say until it got cut off. Yeah. So obviously, now that we're getting closer and closer to the season, people are double, triple, quadrupling down on the Chicago Bears. For those of you who don't know, who's not locked into social media or locked into YouTube analytics and all of that, Bears content is just through the roof, right? It's just honestly, it's Bears and Caitlin Clark these days, and now it's just like, but there was only so much to talk about, and they kind of used all of their all of the content that they could prior to the draft, and then right after the draft, and Caleb and Caleb and Caleb and Caleb and Caleb. And now it was kind of like settled down a little bit, but now we're getting close back up to it. And so now I feel like we're reaching back up to be like, all right, let's keep talking about Chicago. And this is what's funny, because we can point this out as when we know someone is trying to, shall we say, engagement farm, or be a little biased, or be strategic with their takes, which is what Nick Wright is doing. And now, before I go on, I do want to emphasize that I am very high on the Chicago Bears. I've said that many, many, many times. Look at any of my videos. I am one of the first people to say that I believe that they are going to make the playoffs. But at least you can trust that when I'm saying this, it's based off of actual unbiased opinion, unbiased analysis and conclusions that I'm drawing, and not a strategy to make the Chicago Bears fans happy and love me. Because what is Nick doing here in this clip? He's literally trying to call out essentially the Lions and the Packers, more the Packers than anything in this clip. He's trying to say that they're not that good because he wants to continue to earn his keep with the Chicago Bears fans. And I know, because since I am coming from an unbiased lens and I don't do that strategically, I will make a video where I compliment the Eagles, and then I make a video where I say something great about the Commanders, because I'm not afraid. I'm not going to just support the Eagles and then bash the Commanders, Cowboys, and Giants. I'm not going to make a video where I say I think the Bears are going to make the playoffs, and because of that, I'm now going to make videos that say the Lions are not that good, the Packers are not that good, because I know that makes the Bears fans, that the subscribers that I just got from them, that it's going to make them really excited and say, yeah, Julian really knows what he's talking about. I don't do that. I give it honestly. If I think the Packers are going to be a great team, or the Lions are going to be a great team, and the Bears, I'm going to say that. It's just like, you got to be unbiased. You can't be strategic. You can't be afraid of other fan bases. Because I've had it. Like I said, I have at this point now, especially with this division, I have plenty of Packers fans and plenty of Lions fans and Bears fans, and I will hear them when I'm making a video. If I say, hey, I think the Lions are going to be a great team this season, blah 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 blah, I can see the Packers fans and the Bears fans leaking in and be like, no way, they're going to be awful. But it's just like, it makes then the analysis a little bit disingenuous when you're kind of trying to pander to different fan bases. You got to have the courage to say, you know what, I think the Lions are going to be great, I think the Packers are going to be great, and I think that the Bears can be great. Like, you can't be afraid to annoy other fan bases in that regard. And that's what Nick is doing. He's dancing around all this. This is why he says the Chargers are bad, and the Broncos are bad, and the Raiders are bad, because he's obviously a Chiefs fan, right? We know he supports the Cowboys, so he always bashes the Giants, the Commanders, and the Eagles. He's just very consistent in that regard. He's very consistent. He likes to pick and choose fan bases, get on their good graces, and then he gets to essentially be a homer for many different teams around the country. It's not what I want to do personally. But with all that said, it's funny because he said, is the hype around Chicago too high? And then he says it's not high enough. And this is where Wilds pretty much just stopped him, because Nick famously said that he thinks that they could go to the Super Bowl. He obviously didn't say that this clip. I guess they were kind of not trying to lean into that just yet. But I think they will make the playoffs. Do I think that they're going to make the Super Bowl? It's probably a bridge too far, but who knows? In a last segment, when they were talking about, I think, the Dallas Cowboys, Nick was talking about, and I agree with him, where he was saying that he thinks that these younger quarterbacks, once upon a time, it was like, no matter how great of a quarterback you were, if you were a rookie quarterback or a first-year starter, like, you were going to not play great or have a great record. And he thinks that those days are over. And I think that there's a lot of truth to that. And there was a kind of this debate between, how fast can a quarterback get going? And I think, like, if Caleb is as advertised, or even just like 90% of what people think he will be, then the Bears have no reason to not be a great team, right? Again, it's not to say that they're just going to be able to steamroll these teams. Like, they're going to have to win those difficult games. But I do believe that Caleb will still have some issues. I still believe that he is going to have some up and down moments, right? Like any quarterback will. So I don't think it's fair to remove that from him. Because if we start to set this expectation up that all young quarterbacks are going to just keep winning and not have any of their rookie moments, then when a quarterback like a Caleb does have his rookie moments, it's just going to be used as fuel to say, see, he's not that good. Or it's going to be used to try to pull him down, to criticize him. And I don't think that's fair. They'll no longer give the benefit of the doubt and be like, well, yeah, it was his 4th game of the season. What do you expect? And so I think that's not fair at that point. You got to let a rookie be a rookie. You know, I mean, he's a kid. You got to let a kid be a kid. It just is what it is. You can still have incredibly high expectations, but you still have to leave room for error. You still have to leave room for mistakes. That's just the way it is. I mean, I'm afraid if we do reach this point where we're just expecting these guys to enter the league and just be unstoppable, perfect players. I mean, I just don't think that's fair. And I think the media, if they start to act like that's norm or that's what's to be expected, then the fan bases start to expect that. And then I just think we get this cognitive dissonance where where what we're seeing and what the reality is does not actually match up, and what we're being told. You start to get these like unrealistic expectations of what you're watching, and I think it can only go negative at that point, right? And I think it's important to present to people who maybe are not as knowledgeable or who maybe just don't have the opportunity to watch and consume all of this content as much as, say, like a Nick Wright or me or you watching this video, to like lay it out to them of like, what are actual realistic expectations? And it is interesting that clearly people are buying into the hype. That's why they're the most over, the team that had the most bet team to go over 8.5. And that's the thing also that's scary. Now that we're talking about gambling, when you start to do all this extra hyping, then people start to bet money and then they could lose money, which is, up to the individual. But it's still a thing that happens nonetheless. And again, I'm super high on Chicago Bears. I think they will make the playoffs. I've been very consistent with that, and I do think Caleb Williams will end up being a top quarterback in the NFL. And so if those things happen, then they should win over 8.5 games. But you just have no idea how the season's going to unfold. But as what Wilds was talking about in terms of the defense and their schedule and kind of how it's like a brutal second half of the season, I think it will be interesting, because I think if we trust their defense to continue to be elite and top level, then so much on Caleb, his responsibilities and burden will be greatly reduced. Let me see if I can get back to those numbers that he had before for the defense. Where was it? Right there. Right there, first. 17, 11, and 16, and 70.5 for passing rating. It's the points per game is more than anything to me, because that's 17 points, right? If you're just asking Caleb to essentially just get 18 points a game, which I know that's not like necessarily a common score, but 18 points, like that's all you need, right? That's all you need. A couple touchdowns and a couple field goals. I mean, you got to feel good about that. I mean, you could even have a couple games where you're really kicking field goals, right? Field goal after field goal after field goal, and it's like, just get me one touchdown and we win that game. You have to imagine Caleb in that offense is going to be able to do that. You have to imagine. Just the run game should be able to accomplish that. I mean, really. So if they can maintain that, if the defense can legitimately maintain 17.1 points per game, give or take, and you're just asking Caleb essentially to just get like a touchdown or two a game and get them in field goal position, I mean, come on, how are they not going to win some serious games? I mean, like that. I mean, that is the recipe for true success. It just would, if anything, so much would not lie on the talents of Caleb, but the maturity. Is he okay with understanding? You know what? I'm not going to maybe put up 4 touchdowns this game. My job is to just get us, in field goal range in a way, right? Like, this is going to be kind of like boring, even like old school Andy Reid football, right? Like, we're going to be kicking some field goals, because it's not hard to imagine they could be kicking 4, they kick 4 field goals a game. Again, all they do is just need like 1 touchdown. That's it. It's not out of the realm of possibility. I'm not saying that's going to be their game plan necessarily, because you'll have to see how the games actually unfold, of course. But it's just 17 points is unbelievable. And I just think that offense and Caleb Williams will be good enough to like absolutely take advantage of that game after game after game after game. So it's pretty interesting. I'd like to know where what was a common starting field position with that defense as well. I'd like to see like also maybe some of their takeaways. I wish they kind of put that out. I guess it probably wasn't that impressive. Otherwise, it would be up there if they were also ranked first in takeaways or something. But because I think then that would be matter. Because sometimes a defense could be really great, but they could still be, the offense could still not be getting not great field position just because of the way how their offense is structured. Maybe they're really great at red zone D, so they're stopping a lot of touchdowns, but they're giving up field goals. So the starting field position for your own team or for the offense is not necessarily as great. So that's why it's like when you just look at these numbers just on the surface, you don't always know exactly what you're looking at or maybe how much it can benefit your offense. Because of course, if the defense is also giving the Bears great, the offense great starting field position, well, that obviously also makes the lives easier of Caleb and that offense as a whole. So all really interesting things. I do believe that trend should continue more, because if you have to believe that it was Eberflus's defense and his philosophy and his defensive identity and personnel, then you have to believe that if you believe him to actually be a legitimate head coach in the NFL, that trajectory, that trend will continue. And if it does, then the sky is truly the limit for the Chicago Bears. It'll be pretty crazy to see what type of potential Caleb and that offense would then be able to take advantage. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think that the expectations for the Chicago Bears is too high or not high enough, as Nick Wright put it? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.